Hey folks, Mark Levin here. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to talk about my go-to gold and silver company. Monetary Gold is over 25 years helping Americans understand physical gold and silver with an education-first, no-pressure approach and support for IRA-eligible options. Monetary Gold has a complimentary guide. It's free to help you understand precious metals. Call them right now, 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com and request the free guide. Make sure to ask for details. That's 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax consultant. Now let's get to the show.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. This show is dedicated to the men and women of the armed forces of the United States. In honor of them, celebrating them, and the unbelievable accomplishments that they are demonstrating to the entire world each and every hour of each and every day. And to our great allies, the Israelis and the IDF. We've never had a better ally. The two greatest air forces on the face of the earth, according to CENTCOM and Pete Hegseth. And I say this proudly, as an American. While Spain sat on the sidelines, Britain sat on the sidelines, France sat on the sidelines, Germany sat on the sidelines, not little Israel. We have an enemy within, ladies and gentlemen. They're called Congressional Democrats. We have an enemy within, ladies and gentlemen. They're called Marxists and Islamists. An enemy within. They're called Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. Steve Bannon. And a host of others. 85% of Republicans support the President of the United States and the United States military. Almost the opposite amount of Democrats. And so the Democrats, in order to counter this spectacular military campaign, it's a peace mission. It's a peace mission for us, for the Middle East, for the entire world. It's a peace mission. Operation Epic Fury. They have launched Operation Sabotage. And they're trying to sabotage our men and women in uniform, our military. They're trying to sabotage the commander-in-chief, President Trump. They're trying to sabotage our allies, the Israelis and Prime Minister Netanyahu. And they will fail. Because we red-blooded Americans, you patriots, Mr. and Mrs. America, you want us to crush this enemy. Crush it for all time. No more threats about nuclear missiles and nuclear weapons attacking us, we the American people, and our children and our grandchildren. No more half a century of terrorism, of killing our troops, of killing our civilians, of attacking our embassies. That comes to an end now. And then we have fake MAGA that says this isn't what Donald Trump campaigned on. Excuse me. Did Donald Trump campaign on appeasement? Did Donald Trump campaign on surrender? Did Donald Trump campaign that we should be controlled by the whims and the will of an Islamist Nazi regime in Tehran that threatens us, that kills us, that uses terrorists to attack us? Peace through strength. He's not an interventionist. He's not a warmonger. The enemy is. The enemy is. We are patriotic Americans. We stand with our armed forces and our commander-in-chief. And those who do not, it is they who are the saboteurs. Whether they be in the media, whether they be podcasters and de-influencers, that's their new name. De-influencers. Grifters. I don't care who the hell they are. Doesn't matter to me. We have a military operation going on here. They can't even unite behind our men and women in the military. Cowards. Cowards. They're giving aid and comfort to an enemy that is the worst kind of enemy, that wants to kill each and every one of us, slaughter us. And if they had nuclear weapons, that is exactly what they would do. As I've said over and over again, they killed 50,000 citizens, young people, and they didn't even blink. They'd kill 1 million if they have to. They exist. They live to die, this regime. They live to die as long as they take all of us with them. President Trump is a man of enormous common sense and courage. Thank God he's president of the United States. Thank God it's not Newsom. I'll get to him later. Kamala Harris, or any of the rest of the reprobates. The Hate America First crowd, fake MAGA, the isolationist neo-fascists. These people are repulsive. They don't represent you and me. But they're out in the open. They're exposing themselves, and it's ugly. Very ugly. They hate our country. They hate America. They hate our Judeo-Christian values. They hate Jews. They hate Christians. They hate Donald Trump. Some of them have been hanging on Donald Trump's coattails in order to enrich themselves, but they're exposed now. This military operation has been a spectacular success, and it's just begun. 5 days ago, Khomeini is dead. The entire leadership is wiped out. Their air force is non-existent. The skies are wide open. The Navy is destroyed. In 5 days' time. In 5 days' time. And the man, the senior Islamist Nazi, who was plotting and planning the assassinations of our great president, he was eliminated today by the Israelis. By the Israelis. They eliminated him. These are our brothers in arms. The Persian people in Iran, they are our brothers in arms, brothers and sisters. The Kurds, who are now taking up arms, another group of courageous people taking up arms against the Islamo-Nazi in Iran. Courageous and great people. Even the Arabs and the Muslim regimes near and around Iran and Israel have joined us out of their own desire for survival. Donald Trump has united all these elements. The more we win, the more the Democrats in Congress hate it. The more we win, the more Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson and Bannon and the rest of the losers, pathetic, poisonous, whatever, they don't like it. They're rooting for the enemy. The Islamists in our own country, the jihadi Islamist imams, they're actually praying over Khomeini's death. The enemy within. The Marxists, the Islamists, the official Democrat Party. The woke Reich, R-E-I-C-H, neo-Nazi isolationists. That's who they are. Now, I'm going to spend some time on war. What does the Constitution say? What did your framers of the Constitution say? There was a vote in the United States Senate, right down party lines, except for Fetterman joined the Republicans and Rand Paul joined the Democrats. Rand Paul is a phony, a fraud, and a fake. He's a radical libertarian. That's what he is. He is not a constitutionalist. There's absolutely nothing in our constitutional history or our Constitution that gives 535 members of Congress the power over the president to determine whether we go to war and how we fight our war. They have the power of the purse, and that's all they have. So Mr. Constitution, Rand Paul, is a phony and a fraud and a fake. Thomas Massie, another. They're not constitutionalists. They're nut jobs. They're crackpots. I love this line. That the battle we're fighting with this enemy, the Democrats pretend, what's the threat? What's the mission? Nobody will explain it. You have to be dumber than a doorknob to make that comment, or the biggest propagandist in existence. We know exactly why this is being fought. We know exactly why. I just interviewed Steve Witkoff. He told us why. In a month and a half, they would have had 25 nuclear missiles. But the Democrats ignored the interview. They ignored it altogether. So did the major media. Not one major media outlet, like I predicted yesterday. None reported on what Witkoff said. They don't have to report on what I say. They don't even have to say it's on my show. But they didn't report on what he said because they have a narrative. It's the Democrat Party narrative. It's the enemy narrative. Before it was Hamas's narrative. Now it's the Islamo-Nazi regime in Iran's narrative. But it's never about America. The president was told that they're going to have 24 nuclear weapons. 24 in a month and a half. He was told that they announced at the first meeting that they had enough nuclear material for 11 bombs, which they could build in a week to 10 days. That's what Witkoff said. And they were stunned, Witkoff and Kushner. They couldn't believe it. They were bragging about it. And they had no intention, none, of pulling back on anything. And the president saw he didn't have time. We didn't have time. And now we have these Lilliputians. These cheap politicians out there saying, there's been no explanation. There's been explanation after explanation after explanation. But let me ask you something, Mr. and Mrs. America. How many explanations do you need? None. We've had people killed by this regime, men and women in uniform, American citizens, directly and indirectly. They've tried to assassinate our president, and the Democrats say this was a war of choice, a war of choice. They're not fit to lead as they push Operation Sabotage. Sabotage of we, the American people. This isn't even about the president. It's not about the Republicans. It's about the well-being of you and me, Mr. and Mrs. America. And the Democrats are saying, so what if Iran gets nuclear weapons? After all, our great hero Obama paved the way for them to get nuclear weapons. So what if they get nuclear weapons? After all, Biden, by lifting restrictions and giving them cash, gave them $100 billion. So what? They're the enemy within. They are the enemy within. By the way, before I take the break, I want to tell these Islamist bastards that run this organization CARE. a Hamas front group that I've been dealing with for 20 years. We know exactly who you are and what you are, thanks to the FBI wiretapping, the meeting in the Marriott Hotel next to the Philadelphia International Airport. You are here to destroy this country. You're a Hamas front group. Nawad, or whatever the hell the guy's name is, the CEO, celebrated October 7th. They seek the overthrow of this republic. They seek the extermination of Jews. That's right, I said it. And now they're trying to destroy my friend Sid Rosenberg. He's the biggest host in New York City, the morning host on WABC. Let me tell you something. You're not going to get away with any of that. Period. You don't like what he said? I don't like what you do. I don't like your objectives. You've got your little state directors. We've played what they have said about our country. You're the enemy. And more Americans know it. And you're not going to silence us. We're not intimidated by you. We're going to defeat you. You don't get to defeat us. This is America. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Some major U.S. banks are publishing aggressive gold scenarios for 2026, some as high as about $6,300 an ounce. While nothing about the future is guaranteed, the market has already moved faster than many expected. Meanwhile, central banks have been accumulating gold, and some estimates show that gold holdings now exceeding U.S. Treasury holdings, signaling gold's long-term confidence. Monetary gold has over 25 years helping Americans understand physical gold and silver. With an education-first, no-pressure approach and support for IRA-eligible options. Monetary Gold has a complimentary guide to help you understand precious metals. Call them right now, 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. Request the free guide. Make sure to ask for details. That's 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. marklovesgold.com. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. I have only a couple minutes here. I want to remind you we have really one of the most exciting video podcasts going right now, because we do it straight. We do it without cursing, without F-bombs. We do it without smoking pot. We do it without treating you like you're not intelligent or bring on the most grotesque people possible. As a matter of fact, I've done nine shows now, and I haven't had a single guest, and we're going to do that for a good long while. Most of these shows rely on guests. They need guests. It's like a lot of talk radio hosts. They need guests, got to have guests, and a lot of people like that. I have guests when I think they're important. We're going to have a guest next hour, the ambassador to the United Nations from Israel, Danny Danon, but not to fill time to educate us about a number of things that are going on. But I want you Levinites, you great patriots out there, to please consider checking out my brand new video podcast, Liberty's Voice. It's on Rumble, and it's on YouTube. At Rumble, you can just follow me. On YouTube, you can subscribe, but it doesn't cost anything. It's absolutely free. And as I've been telling you for the last week or so, my goal is to use the radio platform, the video podcast platform, and my TV platform to overlap, build the audiences on all the platforms as I reference each on each, and for us to build a mighty army of patriots and conservatives to deal with this midterm election, among other things. So try it out. Some major U.S. banks are publishing aggressive gold scenarios for 2026, some as high as about $6,300 an ounce. While nothing about the future is guaranteed, the market has already moved faster than many expected. Meanwhile, central banks have been accumulating gold, and some estimates show that gold holdings now exceeding U.S. Treasury holdings, signaling gold's long-term confidence. Monetary Gold has over 25 years helping Americans understand physical gold and silver with an education-first, no-pressure approach and support for IRA-eligible options. Monetary Gold has a complimentary guide to help you understand precious metals. Call them right now, 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. Request the free guide. Make sure to ask for details. That's 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. marklovesgold.com. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
He's driving the media mad. Mark Levin, call in with your outrage. 877-381-3811.
You know, when you're going to say what the Constitution says, you should look at the Constitution. Maybe even look at the men who debated it and drafted it and ratified it. The truth about war powers, declaring war, making war, the Constitution, and the War Powers Act. I gave this information to my colleagues at Fox. I don't know if anybody's used it, but I would encourage them to do so. I presented it to other individuals in and out of the government. Fact. No president of either party has accepted the constitutionality of the 1973 War Powers Act. Every president has viewed it as a violation of separation of powers. The president's Article 2 plenary power to run foreign policy and his authority as the commander-in-chief. Fact. The Supreme Court has never ruled on the Act's constitutionality and likely never will. Indeed, Congress itself is split on the issue, which the court noted in 2000 when some members brought the case to it, and it rejected it, with Democrats supporting Democrat presidents and Republicans supporting Republican presidents. The War Powers Act is nothing but a political tool used by members of Congress, typically against a president of the opposite party. Their arguments mostly switch from one side to the other, depending on who is president. Fact. The first draft of the Constitution provided that Congress would have the power to make war. Now, you in this audience know this because you're smart. We've talked about this. The power to make war, the first draft. The delegates at the Constitutional Convention rejected that language and changed it to declare war, intentionally watering it down because they did not believe, and they said they did not believe, a body with numerous members was institutionally capable of making such decisions. And you can see today the way that Congress conducts itself. Can you imagine if they were in charge of war? Fact, to declare war does not result in making war. For example, if Congress were to declare war and a president refused to accept such a declaration, Congress can't force the commander-in-chief to execute such a war. Congress declaring war, which it has done a mere 11 times, mostly during World War II, and the last time 1942, over 80 years ago. That's 11 times since our nation's founding. It's essentially the highest means by which Congress can proclaim its support for a war. It's not a condition precedent to making war, and never has been. It never has been. Fact, the only power Congress has to prevent a military operation is the power of the purse. That said, a president who, as commander-in-chief, has authorized military action will not sign such a bill if it's intended to prevent what he has already commanded. Therefore, Congress would need a two-thirds majority of both houses to override his veto. In other words, a president has broad power to take military action. Now, that doesn't mean in the next go-round of defense funding, Congress couldn't prevent monies being spent on this military campaign. It could. But I don't think it's going to last 8 months. Fact. Other than the Vice President of the United States, the President of the United States is the only federal official elected by the entirety of the people. In addition to the institutional impossibility of war powers and decisions in the hands of a multi-member body like Congress, 535, about 400 of whom are outright prima donnas. The president is the only official who was elected to, among other things, serve as commander-in-chief. So when you hear people like Rand Paul or Tom Massey, extreme libertarians, they're not interpreting the Constitution. They're not applying the Constitution. They're isolationists. They're isolationists who seek to contravene and sabotage the commander-in-chief while military campaign is being commenced. A successful, spectacular military campaign. So when the Democrats vote to try and tie the president's hand, these would be the same Democrats who refused to do so when Obama was bombing Libya. They said no. He's free to do so. The War Powers Act of 1973 is a joke. Presidents try to adhere to it, at least in the breach. This president is adhering to every bit of it, but they're not required to, in my opinion. Furthermore, as you know, because you're in this audience, a statute can't amend the Constitution. If you think you're smarter, Democrats, than the framers of the Constitution, and you think Congress should have a major role in matters of war, even though now war is a split-second endeavor with nuclear weapons, hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles, tanks, jets, bombers, and all the rest, the insanity of their position, then go ahead and try and amend the Constitution. But they don't have the votes. They don't have the votes to get it out of Congress, let alone get it to the states. And the states would kill it. So instead, what do? They pass a statute in 1973 to tie Richard Nixon's hands. And every subsequent president, Obama, Biden, Clinton among them, said it's unconstitutional. Every Department of Justice, no matter the Attorney General, the Office of Legal Counsel, has said it's unconstitutional. And yet we have these Democrats go to the microphone in front of the American people and say this is an unconstitutional war. The president had to come to Congress to get authority. Where does the Constitution say that? Show me one place. Nowhere. Show me where that's ever happened, that a president has gone to Congress to get authority to go to war. Presidents go to Congress because they want declarations of war. They've done that before. But that's not in lieu of presidential power under the separation of powers in Article 2. In Article 2. Could you imagine not only the suicidal process of going to a body this big to make decisions about war, but can you imagine having such debates when the enemy is poised to attack you or the enemy is attacking you? Can you imagine you lose the crucial tactic of secrecy? The framers of the Constitution weren't stupid. In fact, they were brilliant. And it wasn't long before that they had already fought the Revolutionary War. They knew better. They knew better than Rand Paul. They knew better than Tom Massey. They knew better than the Democrats and their media. Now you know more about the Constitution and war powers than any of them, than any people who speak to you through the tube or through the microphone claiming they know something when they know nothing. In fact, the War Powers Act of 1973, if it was strictly adhered to, would get a whole lot of people killed. A whole lot of people killed, including us. Because it's absurd in many respects. Absurd. And it is a fraud. An absolute fraud. And that's a fact. President No president has accepted the constitutionality of the War Powers Act. Not one. 2000, the Supreme Court turned back a challenge brought by a group of 31 members of Congress. You know what it said? We're not taking up this case. There's 31 members who say it's unconstitutional, and there's another 100 who say it is. There's a long list and pattern of members going to court on the wars power cases, and they do it because they're drama queens. They've been doing it for 40 years. And the courts say no. So this has basically devolved into a distraction. A distraction. Media likes distractions. The media likes fights. The media likes bombastic, hysterical politicians who say the most damnable things even at a time of war. Even at a time of war. On Liberty's Voice today, on Rumble and YouTube, I say this in part, cut one, go. We've reached a point in our country where we literally have one political party that roots for the enemy. And don't tell me that's not true. They're rooting for the enemy. The language that they use, the phony arguments that they're trying to throw in front of the President of the United States, they don't even say anything positive. Wow, what a spectacular campaign so far. Our men and women are the best on the face of the earth. Our military is the best on the face of the earth. We've invested in cutting-edge technology that's making a difference. I mean, our warships, our jets, our bombers, our equipment is second to none. This is a fantastic campaign. We've taken out Khomeini. Khomeini, a mass murderer, the Hitler of the Middle East. We took him out in 15 hours with our great allies, the Israelis, their great leader, the Prime Minister, Netanyahu. Despite all the lies that this is an unconstitutional war, despite all the lies that the president has to bow at the power of Congress before he can take action, despite people running around talking about the War Powers Act of 1973, which no president has accepted as constitutional, but they've insisted it's a violation of presidential powers under Article 2, and the Supreme Court has never ruled on it and never will. And I expand far beyond that, far beyond what I'm discussing with you on that program. One more for 1 minute, cut two, go. This is a message to Mandami and Talib and Omar. I believe you're Muslim. I believe you've said so over and over again. Okay, you got my attention. But here's the problem. The Islamic Nazi regime in Tehran is firing off deadly ballistic missiles wildly into Muslim countries, into Muslim areas. They hit a hospital in Gaza. I didn't hear a peep out of you. They hit a hotel, an apartment building, airports in Arab Muslim countries in the last 48 hours. You haven't said a damn thing. So furious are they that even Qatar, who spends billions of dollars to undermine our country, even Qatar has joined our forces and the Israeli forces against the Islamist Nazi regime in Tehran. Who do you support? You have big mouths. You never stop talking. I don't hear you. The organization CAIR, C-A-I-R. Who do you support? You support the enemy. You support the enemy. They supported Khomeini, ladies and gentlemen. They supported Hamas, Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad, CAIR, C-A-I-R. Some states have already passed resolutions or more indicating it's a terrorist organization. Some countries, I believe, have done the same, and our country should do the same too. There's no reason to have this enemy within. And it's not just them. It's the mothership, the Muslim Brotherhood. We don't have to put up with this. They talk about free speech. They don't believe in free speech. We know what that organization is. We've got the tapes. We've got the transcripts. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Some major U.S. banks are publishing aggressive gold scenarios for 2026, some as high as about $6,300 an ounce. While nothing about the future is guaranteed, the market has already moved faster than many expected. Meanwhile, central banks have been accumulating gold, and some estimates show that gold holdings now exceeding U.S. Treasury holdings, signaling gold's long-term confidence. Monetary gold has over 25 years helping Americans understand physical gold and silver. With an education-first, no-pressure approach and support for IRA-eligible options, Monetary Gold has a complimentary guide to help you understand precious metals. Call them right now, 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. Request the free guide. Make sure to ask for details. That's 877-NOW-GOLD, or visit marklovesgold.com. marklovesgold.com. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. We, the American people, the Israeli people, the Persian people, we are united. We are united in a battle against evil, battle against the devil, and we will win. The Persians are an ancient people. The Jews, Israelis, are an ancient people. In our country, with you and me, Mr. and Mrs. America, are the most powerful force for freedom and justice on the face of the earth. We have aligned with the right people and the right cultures against people and cultures that want to destroy us. The stars have aligned. We have a great, great president. Truly great man. Israel has their greatest prime minister ever. Ever. And the Persian people, this is your moment. This is your time. And the rest of us, we are fortunate. Very fortunate that these events are taking place as they're taking place. 85% of Republicans support what the president is doing. 85%. MAGA is not divided, as our friend Isaac Shore points out. Carlson and his cabal have very little, if any, power, no influence, as Eli Lake points out. And they're both right. Now, I've just started. We've got a lot in the remaining 2 hours of this program, but I love the sinister nature of the Democrats. I don't love it, but I love exposing it. They create enormous disunity, and then they say the country's not united behind this. They create the scenario that they brag about. We have a speaker in waiting, God forbid, Hakeem Jeffries, that said we're losing this war. He says we're losing this war while we have men and women fighting this war and winning this war. That's the head of the Democrats in the House of Representatives. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 77381-3811, 877-381-3811. President Trump at the White House today. Cut 3, go.
On the war front, to put it mildly, I would say. Somebody said, on a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said about a 15. And we're going to continue to do well. We have the greatest military in the world by far. And That was a tremendous threat to us for many years. 47 years they've been killing our people and killing people from all over the world. And I think we have great support. And I think if we didn't do it first, they would have done it to Israel and give us a shot if that was possible. And if we didn't terminate the worst deal, one of the worst deals ever made, the Obama nuclear deal, I call it the Obama nuclear deal, where he gave everything to Iran, including a nuclear weapon. It was a road to a nuclear weapon. Bad things would have happened 4 years ago because they would have had a weapon 4 years ago if I didn't terminate that deal. So we're in a very strong position now, and their leadership is just rapidly going. Everybody that seems to want to be a leader, they end up dead.
Cut 4, go.
For 47 years, we were pushed around, and we shouldn't have been. And I think I can say, and you see it as well as I do, you see the tremendous progress that's being made. Their missiles are being wiped out rapidly. Their launchers are being wiped out. They're attacking their neighbors. They're attacking their, in some cases, allies, or not so long ago allies. And, you know, it's really a nation that was out of control, and they would have used it on us if we let them, if we waited any longer. A big factor was Soleimani, the killing of Soleimani in my first term. And maybe the biggest factor was the rebuilding of the military in my first term. And then the B-2s hit the, and I use the word obliterate because it really was a complete obliteration of their nuclear potential. And that set them back very, very seriously. If we didn't hit within 2 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If we didn't do the B-2 attack a number of months ago, they would have a nuclear weapon. And when crazy people have nuclear weapons, bad things happen.
Yeah. Seems pretty basic, doesn't it, America? We have a lot of common sense, like our president. This is just common sense. Our great Secretary of War, and Pete Hegseth is a great Secretary of War, and look what they tried to do to him, smear him, character assassinate him, and so forth and so on. That's what they do. Cut 5, go.
America is winning, decisively, devastatingly, and without mercy. Under the direct command of President Trump, the War Department unleashed this operation early Saturday morning, just 4 days ago, which means we need to remember two things. First, we are only 4 days into this. Metrics are shifting, dust is settling, and more forces are arriving. It's very early. And as President Trump has said, we will take all the time we need to make sure that we succeed. Second, we are only 4 days into this. And the results have been incredible. Historic, really. Only the United States of America could lead this, only us. But when you add the Israeli Defense Forces, a devastatingly capable force, the combination is sheer destruction for our radical Islamist Iranian adversaries. They are toast, and they know it. Or at least, soon enough, they will know it. And we have only just begun to hunt, dismantle, demoralize, destroy, and defeat their capabilities just 4 days in.
This is a great Secretary of War. He is inspiring, he is effective, he is smart, he is strategic. When's the last time you heard a Secretary of War talk like this? Cut 6, go.
Iran's senior leaders are dead. The so-called governing council that might have selected a successor, dead, missing, or cowering in bunkers, too terrified to even occupy the same room. Senior generals, mid-level officers, enlisted ranks, they can't talk or communicate, let alone mount a coordinated and sustained offensive. That's not great for morale. The Iranian Air Force is no more, built for 1996, destroyed in 2026. The Iranian Navy rests at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. Combat ineffective, decimated, destroyed, defeated, pick your adjective.
Cut 7, go.
Also, yesterday, the leader of the unit who attempted to assassinate President Trump has been hunted down and killed. Iran tried to kill President Trump, and President Trump got the last laugh.
8, go.
To our steadfast partner, Israel, Your mission is being executed with unmatched skill and iron determination. Fighting shoulder to shoulder with such a capable ally is a true force multiplier and a breath of fresh air. We salute your courage and your contribution. 4 days in, we have only just begun to fight. America fights to win, and in Operation Epic Fury, we are.
And they want a devastating victory as fast as possible because they don't believe in a forever war. We are fighting against an enemy that believes in a forever war. Carolyn Levitt at the White House briefing today. Cut 9, go.
Does the president believe the country supports the actions that he's taken so far in Iran?
I think he does, and I think the president knows the country is smart enough to read past many of the fake news headlines produced by people in this room that this action was unjustifiable. Again, this is a rogue terrorist regime that has been threatening the United States, our allies, and our people for 47 years. And the American people are smart enough to know that, and they've also been smart enough to listen to the president himself, not just over the past year in this second term, but during his first term as president, and also for the past 40 years of his life. This is a president who has been remarkably consistent on this issue, that Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon. And the president tried peace through diplomacy exhaustively and extensively. He and his team gave it their best go, and the president ultimately came to the determination that peace was not a pursuable path. The Iranian regime, they want death, they want destruction, they want to kill Americans, and that's unacceptable to this president. It's intolerable to him as commander-in-chief.
Cut 10, go.
Axios, I think, was the first to report this morning this phone call between the president and Prime Minister Netanyahu, saying that Netanyahu had given the U.S. this information about where the Ayatollah would be and that he'd be with his deputies on Saturday. How important was that information in the president making the decision to strike where and when he did?
I think it was important with respect to the timeline, but I think the president, prior to that phone call, had a good feeling that the Iranian regime was going to strike the United States assets and our personnel in the region. And the president was faced with a choice. Does the United States of America use our military and our capabilities to strike first, to take out this threat that has been threatening our country and our people for 47 years, or is he going to, as commander-in-chief, sit back and watch as the rogue Iranian regime attacks our people in the region? That's obviously an unacceptable decision. For the second choice there is unacceptable to the president, which is why he made this decision. As for where the Ayatollah was going to be, that obviously had an impact on the timeline of the operation, but not quite the president's decision in its entirety.
Now, there's a particularly important back and forth between Caroline Levitt and this Caitlin Collins at CNN. We're going to hold back on that. When we return, Ambassador Danny Danon is scheduled to be here, the ambassador to the United States from Israel. Excuse me, the ambassador to the United Nations from Israel. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
It's time for a little spring cleaning, and I know where to start. Go drag your old, dated wireless contract out of the closet and beat it with a broom. Then freshen things up by switching to Pure Talk, my wireless company that gives you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data, just $25 a month, with no contract, no cancellation fees, and no overseas customer service if you ever need help. I'm guessing you're going to like them as much as my listener Paul from Greer, South Carolina. He says, I finally listened to Mark Levin's advice and switched from Verizon. I'm getting the very same service for less than half of what I was paying Verizon. You know, I long wondered if these much lower services could provide the same level of service as the big boys. Now I know that Pure Talk certainly can. Thank you, Paul. Now it's time for you folks to make the switch, too. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin, and you'll save 50% off your first month. That's puretalk.com/Levin, and switch to a wireless company that shares your values. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. We're here with Danny Danon. He's the ambassador from Israel to the United Nations. How he does that every damn day, I'll never know. Danny Danon, how are you, my friend?
Good evening, Mark. Thank you for having me. Historic days.
It's historic indeed. What's your take? How does this seem to be going?
Well, I think it's moving in the right direction. We are not over yet. Iran, they panicked. They're in desperation. We look what they are doing in the region. So, we should expect that it will be more violent from their end. But we are strong. We have today, I would say, we almost have complete air superiority over the skies of Iran. And that will allow the U.S. and Israel to continue with the operation and to neutralize the capabilities, the threat. I think we have to pay attention also to what's happening with the moderate Arab countries, because Iran thought that if they would attack Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Qatar, they will come to the U.S. and ask them to stop. But actually what I see at the UN is the opposite. I see that they are standing up and telling Iran, we will face you, we will stand up for your aggression.
In fact, that whole strategy has backfired, hasn't it? They've hit these countries, and these countries now, some are and some are chomping at the bit to strike them, correct?
Exactly. And I think it's unique, for me to sit in the Security Council on Saturday, a few hours after the attack started. Ambassador Mike Waltz did a great job defending the U.S. I defended my country. But then the ambassador from Bahrain, who represents the Arab League, he attacked Iran. He called them cowards. And that's a unique coalition today that you see coming up and telling the truth about the regime. I'm disappointed from Europe, but I don't know if you can get disappointed from the European leaders anymore. But even now, you hear President Macron and others, standing, supporting Iran. It's shameful, Mark.
No, it is shameful, and our president is furious with them. You see what he said to Spain, and now they're going to chalk up something, I guess. And he's condemned them. He's condemned the prime minister in England. He's no Churchill, he said, and there's no question about that. He's condemned Macron. Looks like Germany's starting to come around a little bit more than some of the others. No, it's appalling that these countries, several of them are talking about a Palestinian state and on and on and on. I mean, we're fighting an enemy that's committed act of terrorism in most of those countries, for that matter. And they want ICBMs or nuclear warheads to hit Europe, too. I mean, but the good news is, I think, Mr. Ambassador, is the United States and Israel are united like I have never seen. I mean, the fact is the integration of both militaries, air forces, and navies, and how complicated and complex that is, and yet how superior and remarkable this is. I think they're going to be writing about this in ancient history, don't you?
Absolutely. And I've been involved with diplomacy for many, many years to see the level of cooperation. We always say there is no daylight. But when you see our pilots, fighting together, the intelligence that we share, it brings us to a place that we can achieve everything. And that's why we are moving very fast. We are moving fast. We know what we are doing, and I think that the day will come that the Iranian people will be able to take their future in their own hands. I think it's coming very soon.
And we've done a little history here. We've talked about the history of that part of the world, ancient history, and so forth, and the role the Persians have played in the freedom of the Jews so long ago, and the relationship between the Jews and the Persians over the centuries and so forth. I mean, it seems to me like the Persian people and the Jewish people remain united in so many ways, no?
Every time I speak, I speak directly to the Iranian people, and I tell them, we have nothing against you. On the contrary, we admire you. We know they invented chess. They invented so many great things for mankind, and we had a great relationship with them until the revolution 47 years ago. And I think we will be able to build this friendship again. The Iranian people are good people. Unfortunately, the regime took over and they oppressed the people. But as you mentioned, we had great history with them, and I think both the U.S. and Israel could develop a great relationship with the new era, with the new leadership that will come, and hopefully will lead Iran in the next future, in the next few years.
Somebody wrote a great piece who really knows history. And he was talking about how the great Persian king, Cyrus, freed the Jews from the Babylonians, allowed the Jews to practice their faith, helped them with the first temple. And now the Jews are coming, obviously along with the Americans. The Israelis are coming to help free the Persians. Do you see it that way too?
Well, we all know the history about the Cyrus Declaration and his leadership. And I think today the Iranian people, they look up at the sky. They see the Israeli aircrafts with the Star of David flying above there. And they realize that, there is a connection. There is a connection. The same Jews they helped to go back to their homeland now are coming back to Iran to support them. I think it's symbolic. And I think that, we have to learn from history. We just finished the holiday of Purim, which speaks about, evil that tried to destroy the Jewish people in the same location, same place. And today, we're celebrating the same holiday, and we're actually in a place that we are making sure that those evil leaders are not with us, and that's what we did with Ayatollah Khomeini and the rest of his leadership.
The Israeli people are very strong people. They've been through a lot, and yet they have fought a war on 7 fronts, as the Prime Minister says, and they've defeated their enemies, and now they're fighting alongside, or we are fighting alongside each other, and defeating another enemy. How do the Israeli people feel?
Well, it's not easy. I'm in New York now, but my mother, she's 84, she's in Israel. My daughters, one of them in the military. So the people of Israel are in shelters for the last 5 days, but they understand that, it's worth it. It's better to pay the price now in order for our future generations to live safely. And that's why I want to give credit for President Trump, because it would have been much, much easier for him to push this issue and to say, somebody else will deal with that. I would sign another agreement like the JCPOA, and somebody else in 5-10 years will deal with Iran. But that's not leadership. President Trump realized that he has to do it now, and the people in Israel realize the same, that we have to pay the price now. It doesn't matter how long it will take. Another week, another 2 weeks, another 3 weeks, we will suffer, we will sacrifice, but we will ensure that we can live safely. And it's not only us, it's for the people of the region. And when we spoke about Iran exporting terror, people thought that we are exaggerating. But today, when you saw that they actually sent a ballistic missile to Turkey, a NATO member, to Cyprus, EU member, to all the Gulf countries, you realize that it's true. They export the radical ideas, and it's about time to neutralize that threat.
Yeah, and Erdogan was effectively sermonizing Khomeini just a couple days ago. He's a real... Well, I won't put you on the spot. He's very evil. Mr. Ambassador, I want to thank you. Thank you for everything you...
Thank you very much, Mark. We'll be strong. We will prevail. And I'm sure we're going to have very, very good news very soon.
Amen. Amen. Keep up the good work. And God bless you and your family. We'll be right back. It's time for a little spring cleaning, and I know where to start. Go drag your old, dated wireless contract out of the closet and beat it with a broom. Then freshen things up by switching to Pure Talk, my wireless company that gives you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data, just $25 a month, with no contract, no cancellation fees, and no overseas customer service if you ever need help. I'm guessing you're going to like them as much as my listener, Paul, from Greer, South Carolina. He says, I finally listened to Mark Levin's advice and switched from Verizon. I'm getting the very same service for less than half of what I was paying Verizon. I long wondered if these much lower services could provide the same level of service as the big boys. Now I know that Pure Talk certainly can. Thank you, Paul. Now it's time for you folks to make the switch, too. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin, and you'll save 50% off your first month. That's puretalk.com/Levin, and switch to a wireless company that shares your values. Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
Mark Levin, the Great One.
The Great One, Mark Levin.
Dial in now, 877-381-3811.
I'm going to tell you a story. A story that unfortunately most of you have never heard before. In 1985, 3 years before a gentleman by the name of Higgins was kidnapped, William Francis Buckley, a retired Army lieutenant colonel working for the CIA, was kidnapped, brutally tortured, and murdered by Hezbollah. On February 17, 1988, 3 years later, this situation repeated itself when Higgins, who was serving as the chief observer group in Lebanon and senior military observer for the United Nations Military Observer Group, he was abducted. Higgins was driving alone on the coastal highway between Tira and Decorah in southern Lebanon, returning from a meeting with a local leader of the Anam movement, when a car blocked the road in front of him and forced him to stop, after which he was pulled from his vehicle by armed men suspected of being affiliated with Hezbollah. As a reaction to his abduction, the United Nations Security Council adopted Resolution 618 demanding his release. During his captivity, he was interrogated and brutally tortured. On April 21, 1988, a public statement in Arabic, along with black and white pictures of a disheveled and scruffy Higgins, was sent by the kidnappers to the news agency Reuters, in which they proclaimed that Higgins was a war criminal. It would be tried by a tribunal of the oppressed. The kidnappers, who claimed responsibility for Higgins' capture, claimed to form part of a Shia Muslim terrorist organization called the Organization of the Oppressed on Earth. I'm sure that would have gotten Bernie's attention, if not support, which was in reality a pro-Iranian wing of Hezbollah. They hanged him. They hanged him. They videotaped it. And they let him hang there for a long time. These are the people we're fighting, the Israelis are fighting. Subhumans. It's easy for politicians who get special privileges, who dress nice every day, put a tie on, a skirt on, get their haircuts and their hair done, have nice meals, have staffers running around and helping them, have all the leisure that one can imagine, enormous power, massive egos, a lot of media. On Capitol Hill today, going on and on. I want you to remember something. I want you to remember the faces of all those young people in Iran. The age of your son or your daughter, your grandson or your granddaughter, who were brutally murdered. Some of whom were tortured, some of whom were raped, some of whom were imprisoned and executed, but all of whom were murdered by grown men with weapons. And I will never forget the faces of these Iranian young people staring into the sky with their eyes wide open. I often think about it. I often think to myself, what were these kids thinking? What were they thinking when they were being murdered? When Megyn Kelly says this is Mark Levin's war, I wear that with a badge of honor, even though it's a lie and it's intended to smear me. But I wear it with a badge of honor. It's not Mark Levin's war. But if I had any role behind this microphone or behind the TV camera in urging our country and rallying our people to destroy this enemy, I hope that'll be part of my epithet. I have no ego in this game. People attack me viciously. People call me all kinds of very nasty names, and I don't care. And there's more going on than I can reveal to you, but I'm not going to. For my sake and my family's sake. But I will always do what's right. This is about our country. This is about those poor kids that were brutalized like that. This is about the Islamist regime that wants to blow our families off the face of the earth. And the idea that we would sit back and pretend we have some ceasefire, some peace deal, we'd even enter into an agreement that would ensure that they would get the weapons that they want, is a crime against humanity. So go ahead. Call me whatever you want. I just know this, Megyn Kelly. I'm proud of who I am and what I've said and what I believe. And the people I support, the people who I consider friends and associates. I'm proud of the way I conduct myself. Whether it's behind this microphone, the Fox cameras, or now my new video podcast. I don't need to tell my kids to close their eyes and ears about anything I've ever said or done. I'm proud of the guests I bring here and present to you. That I use these platforms for good. I'm proud of the opportunity to speak to you as I am right now. And I'll do it as long as I can, or as long as you'll have me. It won't be forever. I understand what's at stake. Everything. These are not irrelevant debates. These programs have a purpose. When I come behind this microphone, my wife will tell you, I not only come prepared, I come here on a mission. I don't want to see us lose this country. There'll never be another United States of America. And so I will call out the Islamists, even if they try to get us fired. I will call out the Marxists. And I will call out the neo-fascists, who may be the worst of the bunch. I'm not embarrassed by what I do and what I've said and what I believe. Tucker Carlson, he's too stupid to be embarrassed. But he will embarrass generations of his family. These people give aid and comfort to the enemy. They play their podcasts on state-run TV in Iran, state-run TV in Qatar, state-run TV in Russia. Why do they do that? Is that okay by you? As for Megyn Kelly, I've never told her who she should associate with, but I will definitely comment on it. I've never told her who she should distance herself from. I could care less. She's digging her own hole. She doesn't have a principled bone in her body. She works long and hard on her physical features and obviously abandons her conscience. That's up to her. I don't give a damn. Tucker Carlson is mourning right now. Even his beloved Qatar has turned on him and the Iranian regime. Al Jazeera has criticized him, so I guess he'll buy a home in Moscow now. These are people who've become wealthy off this country, who've become famous, or in some cases infamous, and they hate our country. They can say what they will. But when you say the things that you say about our country in the middle of a military campaign, you hate our country. They hate our country. They're all about themselves. They're all about grifting. They're all about how much money they're going to make and how many people are going to follow them. I started Liberty's Voice, my video podcast. I'm not going to make any money, I doubt. It's all my money going into it. But it doesn't matter. It's another platform where they live, where people on that platform need to hear a different side, a pro-American patriotic side. I am proud of our president. I am proud of our Secretary of State. I am proud of our Secretary of Defense. I am proud of our CIA director. I am proud of the whole team that has done a superlative job in defending our country. I view this as a peace mission to take out this regime after half a century of terrorism and mass murder and brutality and torture and rape. I thank this administration for protecting my family and your family. That's the job of our government. It's the number one job, if not the only real job. And they've taken it seriously. I pray for the heroes who volunteer to defend this country. We have no draft. And so when I hear a Hakeem Jeffries saying we're losing the war, I have nothing but deep contempt for that man and for all the Democrats who try to use this military campaign as a political tool to try to exploit it, who look for failure to empower themselves in their own rotten, good-for-nothing lives and careers. And I look at the Islamists, some of whom are new to this country, some of whom are first generation. The Talibs and Omars. The Senk Ungers, I think his name is. The Mehdi Hassans. I have grave contempt for these people. They know what they're doing, and I know what they're doing. And you know what they're doing, too. This is all part of the enemy within. It's a daunting challenge we face, America. But we take one day at a time. That's what we do. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
It's time for a little spring cleaning, and I know where to start. Go drag your old, dated wireless contract out of the closet and beat it with a broom. Then freshen things up by switching to Pure Talk, my wireless company that gives you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data, just $25 a month, with no contract, no cancellation fees, and no overseas customer service if you ever need help. I'm guessing you're going to like them as much as my listener Paul from Greer, South Carolina. He says, I finally listened to Mark Levin's advice and switched from Verizon. I'm getting the very same service for less than half of what I was paying Verizon. You know, I long wondered if these much lower services could provide the same level of service as the big boys. Now I know that Pure Talk certainly can. Thank you, Paul. Now it's time for you folks to make the switch, too. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin, and you'll save 50% off your first month. That's puretalk.com/Levin, and switch to a wireless company that shares your values. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. You know, these woke right neo-fascist isolationists, along with the Marxists and the Islamists, but the former in particular. You know, after we were attacked at Pearl Harbor, the isolationist movement, the so-called America First movement, went out of business in 3 days. They gave it up. And it became quite patriotic. Charles Lindbergh apologized. He was the spokesman for him, and he crisscrossed the country raising funds for the war. This crowd today, here we are in the middle of a military campaign against an enemy that is very familiar to us. And we know why we're fighting this enemy. And we know why we're fighting them now. It's not that complicated. It's not because of the Jews. It's not because of me. It's because of the President of the United States. So they keep undermining and stabbing him in the back because he took in all the information, the intelligence, the lack of negotiations seriously by the enemy and their access to nuclear weapons and more. And he acted. We know why he acted, and he acted in a courageous way, in a logical way. But the enemies within, they're not like the first America First isolationist movement. They refuse to unite around the president. They refuse to unite in this war effort. They refuse to unite around the military. They're propagandists for the enemy. The enemy's using them. Tucker Carlson is a propagandist for the enemy. Megyn Kelly, same thing. They're giving aid and comfort to the enemy. Now, they'll tell you, no, they're not. They certainly are. They're even bringing people on their programs who are doing the same thing. And they personally and viciously character assassinate individuals who challenge them on what they're saying and what they've been doing and saying. These people should be discarded. They're illegitimate. They're anti-American. What has Megyn Kelly actually ever done for this country? What has Tucker Carlson actually ever done for this country? They're two media whores, quite frankly. That's all they've ever done. They've done nothing. Don't forget, listen to Liberty's Voice. We have a great video podcast up there right now at Rumble and YouTube. The Power Hour is next. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
The media refuse to report on what Steve Witkoff said on this program last night, and some conservative media have done exactly the same thing, and I think they're doing a grave disservice to the American people, to our military, to the commander-in-chief, by not allowing all that information to get out, because some of that was very jaw-dropping, as Steve Witkoff was talking about how he and Jared Kushner were negotiating with these people and how they were responding. And beyond what was discussed earlier in the media, he went into great detail because I gave him really 3/4 of the first hour to go through it, and mostly kept my mouth shut so he could speak and explain it. Now, it's all there for you folks. We posted on our website. We've posted it on all of our social sites. And as far as I know, that's all where it is. I want to thank some of those who are on the internet who've actually read it, some of whom are really great historians and scholars. One gentleman even said when the history books are written about this military campaign and how important it is, it's going to start with that interview with Steve Witkoff. But it wasn't important enough for the networks, for cable, for my colleagues, just not important enough, which is really shocking to me. You don't have to use my name. You don't even have to say I interviewed him. The things he said were very, very important. Now, I'm not going to regurgitate them here. You can go listen to them. We have it out there for you. Caroline Levitt at the White House press briefing today with Caitlin Collins. Caitlin Collins seems to think that her job is to be that guy, what was his name, John Acosta? Jim Acosta. Seems to think that that's her role. And so rather than trying to elicit actual information, she makes allegations, she makes statements and pretends it's a question mark on the end. And I want you to listen to this at a briefing today. Cut 11, go.
You just mentioned that the president is going to attend the dignified transfer for these families. Given what Secretary Hegseth said this morning, is it the position of this administration that the press should not prominently cover the deaths of U.S. service members?
No, it's the position of this administration that the press in this room and the press across the country should accurately report on the success of Operation Epic Fury and the damage it is doing to the rogue Iranian regime that has threatened the lives of every single American in this room. If the Iranian regime had their choice, they would kill every single person in this room. And so we can all be very grateful that we have an administration and that we have men and women in our armed forces who are willing to sacrifice their own lives for the rest of us in this room and for every American across the country and for every troop that is based in the Middle East. That's what these...
Hegseth was complaining that it was front page news about these 6 service members who were killed.
That's not what the Secretary said, Caitlin, and that's not what the Secretary meant, and you know it. You know you're being disingenuous. There is not... We've never had a Secretary of Defense who cares more.
Get through or tragic things happen. It's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad. Yeah, as you know, we cover the deaths of U.S. service members under every president.
The press does only want to make the president look bad. That's a fact. Especially you. No, listen to me. Especially you and especially CNN. And the Secretary of Defense cares deeply about our war fighters and our men and women in uniform. He travels all across this country to meet with them, to connect with them, and your network has hardly ever probably reported on that. You also had the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Chairman Kane, who's a brave patriot, standing alongside the secretary at the Pentagon this morning, again expressing his condolences to these families. And I just told you that the President of the United States will be attending their dignified transfer. So please,
that's not making the president look bad. That's showcasing that.
We expect you to cover that as you should. We expect you to cover that as you should, Caitlin. But you and your network know that you take every single thing this administration says and tries to use it to make the president look bad. That is an objectable fact.
I don't think covering troop deaths is trying to make the president look bad.
If you're trying to argue right now that CNN's overwhelming coverage is not negative of President Donald Trump, I think the American people would tend to agree, and your ratings would tend to disagree with that as well.
Oh, can't say that to the media. Can't tell the media the truth, you know. Can't tell them that. She is despicable. That network really doesn't even exist. Nobody watches it. Now that the Ellison family's purchased it, maybe they can breathe some life into it by making it objective. Yes. John Spencer of West Point, an expert on so many things military, he was on Fox News yesterday. Cut 12, go.
We'll have to create a new grade because what the U.S. military with Israel have done is historic, never been done before. I mean, imagine killing Hitler, his successor, every one of his field marshals before the first boots touched the beaches of Normandy. That's the neurological strike that we saw in the first 24 hours. I mean, usually I say sink Navy and you're part of the Army-Navy game as like some service rivalry, but we've sunk an entire nation's Navy and it's crippling. It should put the fear of God in all of our enemies, and definitely anybody who decides he wants to take a new job in Iran because they're killing anyone who signs up to be the next leader, the next general.
Mm-hmm. Tony Daca, how do you pronounce this, Rich? I don't even know. He's the new CBS Evening anchor. Dacoupil, Dokoupil. We're very critical of these networks, but when a network actually does a good job of covering something, I'll try and highlight it. Cut 13, go.
If you're looking for an origin point of this current war, don't look to the earliest hours of this Saturday. Look back to November 4th, 1979. That was the day Iranian revolutionaries stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, capturing 52 Americans and parading them in blindfolds for the whole world to see.
A new and daring element was disclosed today in the Iran crisis.
For the next 444 days, they were held captive, the tally kept nightly by Walter Cronkite. Finally, the hostages were released, but that wasn't the end of the story. In 1983, 241 U.S. service members were killed in their barracks by an Iran-backed suicide bomber in Beirut. Americans can argue whether this is a war of necessity, but what's clear from the history is that the fuse of this explosion is 50 years long and has included the loss of thousands of American and Iranian lives. Every president since Jimmy Carter has tried to end this conflict. In 2015, President Barack Obama announced a deal to stall Iran's nuclear ambitions, a deal that President Trump replaced with a campaign of maximum pressure and now military might.
Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime.
That history is why the president's allies in Congress say he hasn't started a war with Iran. He's finishing one.
Now, that's honest reporting. Good for CBS News, seriously. Now, look, folks, I have clip after clip of the Democrats here. I've got Schumer with reporters. I've got Elizabeth Warren, who's a complete airhead. I've got Ruben Gallio, who is just a liar. Mark Kelly, it's hard to believe he was in the Navy and an astronaut. Pramelia Jayapal, who's everywhere because she's so experienced at everything she does. She's a bomb thrower, left-wing kook. But let us deal with her, actually. Let us deal with her. Listen to what she said on MS Now. Go.
This is an illegal, unconstitutional war. There was nothing in the briefing given to us about...
Stop. How is it an illegal, unconstitutional war? It's a simple question, but of course, they let her drone on for a minute and a half. Because these networks or these cable outfits, they're not interested in informing you. They're interested in propaganda and pushing the country to the hard left. What exactly is it that is illegal or unconstitutional? There's nothing illegal or unconstitutional about this. Nothing. Zero. Go ahead.
That would have allowed the president to go...
All right, that's enough for her. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
People want to get in. I don't blame them. So we'll go to the calls early. I've got a ton of stuff, but you know what? This is our national town hall meeting, and let's make the best of it. Let's go to Christopher, Weathersford, Texas, the great WBAP. How are you?
Very good. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Thanks for taking my call. I am an Iranian U.S. citizen that I want to applaud the president for taking action against the Iranian government. I posted something the other day on Facebook, and I just want to thank the president that somebody, finally, we have a president who's got the backbone, the courage, the guts to stand up to these Iranian thugs who have killed Americans, who have killed the Iranian people, over 30,000, some report says, 40,000 or so in the past few months or so. And how dare Hakeem Jeffries goes on the news, national news, and undermines the soldiers, the American soldiers who are defending freedom. Mm-hmm. This is not an act of war. This is an act of peace. This is an act of freedom. They are freeing a country. There are 90 million people who are cheering for the American soldiers. And yet the elected American officials stand up on national TV and condemn this. Shame on them, shame on them. It's the stupidity, idiocy of these elected officials that they call themselves Americans. It baffles me.
Amen. Very beautifully put. I agree 100%, Christopher. Thank you. God bless you, my friend. Let's go to Dana, Bismarck, North Dakota. XM Satellite, how are you?
Very well, Mark. Thanks for letting me on. And 10-4 to that last caller.
Amen.
There you got it straight from the mouth of an Iranian.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got Trump finally. Like you said, they got the backbone, the integrity, the goodness to end this evil that's been running around the world for 50 years or 47. The same with Venezuela. He's freed the people down there to start their lives over. He's freeing the people in Iran, and then we got the Democratic Party, except for John Fetterman, who want to bash and knock down everything he's trying to do against us. Not just against Trump, it's against this whole nation, against our military, against every one of us that live here, instead of saying, hey, this is a good thing. They're pathetic. None of them deserve to be in the position they are. And all you people listening, this is where we come in. It's time for us to liberate ourselves from this garbage.
I love that way you put that. Hold on now. That is good. Liberate ourselves from garbage. Amen. Go ahead, brother.
We all know who they are. It's the midterms now. We know, and this is just a fact. I don't care if you like Trump or not. If we don't keep the Republican Party, because he's a Republican president, in power, he's not going to get anything, because you can see what the Democrats are going to do. They're going to kill every effort he ever tries to make to help us or anyone else in the world. So remember that, people. Be smart about this. It's us against them. Yeah. They don't care about us.
And now they're trying to sabotage a war effort. I've never seen anything like this in my life. You have a political party that is trying to sabotage American soldiers, Israeli soldiers, that they've partnered with us. It's just sickening, and people do need to keep that in mind, because I say they're using Operation Sabotage. They're trying to do damage to us that our enemy can't do to us. And that's no joke. When Hakeem Jeffries says we're losing this war, how disgusting is he? All right, my friend. Thank you, Dana. Great call. Great calls all around. Let's go to Bill, Fort Worth, Texas. WBAP. Bill, how are you?
I'm doing great, Mark, and thank you so much. I want you to know you are my hero. You do a fantastic job, and I'm going to get that in real quickly because I've got some things to say, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're the best, my friend. You tell it like it is. You get strong with your words. And I tell you what, the last two callers you had were phenomenal. I'm not going to repeat what they said. They did great. But I'm a former U.S. Army veteran. I'm a former journalist from way back in the late 60s and early 70s when journalism was honest, when it was a real profession, if you know what I mean, like you. Yeah. You tell the truth. Yeah. The bottom line is we are in a war amongst ourselves. We've got infiltrators here that are trying to take our country, and I don't appreciate it.
I think you're 100% right. And they are here. And you can see how they undermine us in the course of a war. Groups like CARE, these Islamist imams and professors and some mayors, the Marxists in our colleges and universities, and, of course, this woke right neo-fascist isolationists that I'm talking about. They're not a significantly large group, but they do have podcasts and they do have microphones, and they can create, they can dispirit the American people, and they obviously hate Donald Trump while they pretend they don't because they don't want to lose their audiences, but they truly do. The idea that this is my war, I don't have the power to go to war. The president's made this decision, and he made the right decision. Look, I'm very proud that I'm supporting what our president, what our troops are doing. Very, very proud of it. And then, of course, when you actually have an individual who roots for the enemy, in my humble opinion, this Tucker Carlson, that is just loathsome as it gets. And even the enemy's turned on him now. So he's by himself. He's isolated. This is not right. And these people are going to cost us the midterm elections if we're not careful here. Last word.
You know, Mark, can you hear me?
Yeah.
One more thing. The bottom line is if we don't start using the word treasonous of these people, and I'm talking about guys like Obama and Pelosi and those people, Hakeem Jeffries, what an idiot. We need to just tuck our tails up under our tail and go ahead and succumb to this bad people if that's what we're going to do. Other than that, we need to get the microphones. We need to get the word out. And God bless you for your microphone. I wish I had one like yours.
You got a great voice for radio, I'll tell you that. All right. Thank you very much, my friend. Let's go to Tony, Montreal, Canada. XM Satellite. Tony, how are you?
I'm great. And fantastic calls. And I just want to say the Islamofascists are at the bottom of the ocean where they belong. Their Navy, their air, whatever you want to call it, Air Force, destroyed. The people of Iran, like the ones that you speak to and the ones that I speak to in Montreal and Vancouver, they told me the only way to deal with the Ayatollah is to eliminate him and send him to the heavens or wherever he wants to be, or to hell, as far as I'm concerned. And I'll tell you one thing. Those people were freed by Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump is the only Western leader in the world that has the gall, the strength to use his military and to use his economic force. And he's sending a message to all the lunatics. We are going to come and get you if you do bad things.
You're 100% right. And I want to thank you, my friend, Tony in Montreal. Not only that, he sent a message to China that's now looking over its shoulder trying to figure out where it's going to get all its oil from. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin, the modern voice of the Founding Fathers. This is the Mark Levin Show. Dial in now at 877-381-3811.
The media out there pushing the narrative that MAGA is split. MAGA is not split. It's strongly behind the president and our armed forces. A handful of nut jobs, kooks, crackpots. That's not MAGA. Trump is MAGA. My audience. The Tea Party, the Reagan conservatives, traditional conservatives, constitutional conservatives, we're all behind the president on this for sure, 100%. MAGA is not those who claim to be MAGA, but were never MAGA. They're people who have grifted off of Trump, who want to be seen with Trump, who want to have pictures with Trump and then stab him in the back. Those are Benedict Arnolds. Those are Father Coughlin's. Tokyo Roses, in American style. No damn good. These people have no character whatsoever. None. None. Grotesque people. They surely are. It's an illegal war. No, it's not. It's unconstitutional. No, it's not. I want you to listen to Hassan Salamreh, poet and lawyer, at a Dearborn Shiite mosque memorial for Khomeini. They're having a memorial for Khomeini in Dearborn, Michigan, a.k.a. Dearbornistan. The Islamists. They're having a memorial for Khomeini. Got it? Right in the United States, the home of Ford Motor Company. Cut 21, go.
Here today to commemorate the martyrdom of the great leader of our time, Sayyid Ali al-Husseini al-Khamenei, rahmatullahi alayh.
We might think this was an attack led by Zionist Jews, but the commander of their mission is the very one.
Sounds like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. The Jews and their mission, you see, as they martyr Khomeini, the mass murder of Muslims, among others. Go ahead.
That Adam was not worth prostrating to. Iblis is the one behind the scenes leading their camp, in the shadows lurking, irking, in their symbology, their ideologies, their psychology, their economy, claiming they follow the laws of Moses and Deuteronomy. Iblis is the hidden commander of today's society. Regardless of the stooge we put at the desk of the Oval Office, Republican or Democrat, or even if 1,000 elections come to pass, it is clear that this country was built for and built by the Epstein class.
Listen to this stuff.
And that just like Palestine, we live on stolen land when the devil-worshipping Freemasons reached these shores and the Zionist-minded Christopher Columbus came to explore and they genocided the natives. And put the one eye of the devil on their currency to put their plans in full sight. while the Statue of Liberty is actually Lucifer, the demonic bearer holding a torch of light. And their plan is to dominate every land, regardless of borders, as they state they want to create a new world order. But the Islamic Republic became a thorn in the one eye that gave them post-traumatic stress disorder.
This is apparently a well-known poet and lawyer at a Dearborn Shiite mosque memorial for Khomeini this past weekend. And this is reported by our friends at Memri, MEMRI.org. I strongly encourage you to bookmark that, check it constantly. They really are the best of the best, and they have interpreters, but you don't need one for this. This guy spoke perfect English. Imam Usama Yabadabadu, also at a Dearborn Shiite mosque memorial for Khomeini, probably the same one. Cut 22, go.
We ask Allah to accept this sacrifice, and I offer my condolences to each and every one of you, and I also offer my congratulations on this ultimate honor that he received after 86 years of jihad in the way of Allah.
So stop. Jihad in the way of Allah. Jihadists. This is in our own country, ladies and gentlemen. In our own country. Go ahead.
Allah. I appreciate each and every one of you for coming out here. It was very important that we have this gathering today and that we remember our shuhada and that we not
Shuhada, martyrs. So now Khomeini is a martyr for these Islamists in the heart of our country. Got it? And they all vote Democrat. Got it? And Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and Bannon and their ilk are basically on the same side as these people as they trash our president and seek to undermine our military. Go ahead.
By the Epstein class. And even more than I appreciate the brothers, then I appreciate our sisters, especially those sisters.
Sisters, really? How are sisters treated by Islamists? How are women treated by Islamists? How are young girls treated by Islamists? He appreciates their sisters. He ain't kidding. They treat women like animals, and they treat animals horribly. They want to thank their sisters. Go ahead.
Children, so that our children would grow up with this culture.
Got it? This culture. The culture that you're hearing right now. This is what the Israelis are up against with the Palestinians and others. This is now what we're up against. That culture, no assimilation. They hate our country. They hate our founding. You're hearing it out of his mouth. Out of his mouth. This is the sort of thing the group CARE that's trying to take out our buddy Sid ain't going to happen. That they promote each and every day. Go ahead.
Remember our martyrs, and we're not ashamed of them. So, brothers and sisters, you and I, and all of those who are in the world right now, and those of us who are in the West, we can't let our tax-exempt status for our masjid become an idol that I worship bidunillah.
Look, I don't pretend to be able to explain that, but I'm suggesting to you what he means by that is do whatever you have to do, tax-exempt status or not. Now, this is an ideology that is being pushed hard within our borders, with mosques being built by the hundreds and hundreds now. Strategically funded, propping up all over red states and other states. Pushing Sharia law as the law. Attacking our founding. This is again, I've been talking about it for years, the fusion of the Islamists and the Marxists. That America is an illegitimate country, that America, just like with the Palestinians, that Americans are the oppressors, that Americans are on stolen property. You get it? You get it? Of course, the Islamists are never on stolen property, even though the Jews came first and the Christians came second. Look throughout the Middle East. No, they didn't steal any property. Never. The Crusades, the Muslim Crusades, they didn't steal any property. How could the third of the three religions claim complete control over the entire Middle East? And now we have people coming to our country and they're claiming control over that too. I've told you over and over and over again that Islam and Marxism are incompatible with Americanism in our Constitution. They're just incompatible. They don't accept it. They have no intention of assimilating. Look, this country, everybody doesn't come from the same place or have the same faith. All over the world, every continent, every faith. And one of the great things in this country has been we get along. Pretty much we get along better than in any other country on the face of the earth. And when we're wrong and mistakes have been made, we try and fix them. We even fought a civil war to try and fix the worst of our mistakes. But this is an enemy. And what they're saying is it's important that you bring your children here so they will grow up, quote unquote, so that our children will grow up with this culture. Not that they'll grow up as practicing Muslims, assimilated in the American culture. No. Grow up in this culture. And the left in our country, the Democrats, and now apparently the neo-fascists, the woke right isolationists, they are in bed with this. They are bringing this into the country. And the whole idea of immigration, the whole principle of immigration is to allow foreigners to come into our country if they're going to benefit our country, benefit the existing citizens, assimilate into the culture and the society, and contribute to it. Does it sound like this jackass is going to do that? And they say free speech, freedom of religion, as they martyr Khomeini. As they martyr Khomeini. And tell us what they're going to do. We are going to indoctrinate our children to hate you, to hate your country, to impose our fundamentalism on you. This is what is done by the Islamists everywhere, whether it's the Middle East, whether it's Africa, whether it's Europe, whether it's the United States, everywhere. And if you're Muslim and you're listening to me out there, these are your enemies too. CARE is your enemy too. Because more Muslims have died at the hands of Islamists like this than anybody else. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Muslim world is divided about Iran. Muslim countries in favor of removing the regime would include Jordan, Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, and Bahrain. Muslim countries against removing the regime, Great Britain, France, and Spain. Hat tip to Moy Miz and reposting, retweeting David Steinberg. It's about right, though, isn't it, Mr. Producer? Spot on, baby. Sickening, but spot on. All right, let's see here. What do we... Got a few things left here. Whoa, the board has been full, and full again. Wow. Let's see. Let us go to Michael, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on the Mark Levin app. Michael, go right ahead.
Thank you so much for taking my call, Mark. I just wanted to say, you said that, these people, you've never seen anyone, undermine the war effort like this, but we've got, Walter Cronkite, saying, the war in Vietnam is lost.
No, that's true, but I'm talking about an entire movement. including elements that used to be in the Republican Party. You're right about Walter Cronkite, who undermined the Vietnam War.
My dad was a White House correspondent at the same time that you were in the Reagan administration. I have to wonder if you guys might have met. But tell Mr. Producer before you hang up what his last name was. Unless you want to tell me on the air. I will. It's Gastmeyer.
Huh.
Andy Gastmeyer.
It may well be. Who did he work for?
Satellite news channels. He worked for satellite news channels. They were the only competitor for CNN at the time.
I may well have met him.
And then Ted Turner bought him out, and then, he fired everybody after he merged. He said it was going to be, a big happy family, and then...
Yeah, he brought in all kinds of losers.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Michael, good call. My best. God bless you, my friend. Let's go to Jason, Byron, Minnesota, XM Satellite. Go.
Hey, Mark, thanks for taking my call. Today I'd like to talk to you about strategy. Generally, when we're talking about the Democrats, whether it be Jeffries or Pelosi, we're always looking at, hey, how can we make them look like hypocrites? Obviously, at face value, they are hypocritical. But more importantly, I feel it's more strategical. These guys are well coached. They have no true morals. I don't think they stand for anything. When Trump asks them to stand for something, I'm not sure that they're actually standing for anything. And that makes them even all the more powerful when they're broadcasting to our not well listened people. So how do we make it more that the opposition, us, assuming you and I are talking about ourselves, how do we make it that we're more of a strategy, well-coached people, not
I can only speak for myself. I try and use this format, my Fox format, and now our brand new video podcast to get the message out, to make the case, the history, the arguments. I'm just hoping more and more people join Liberty Voice. Check it out tonight, YouTube and Rumble. Ladies and gentlemen, we salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine, the men and women in Israel, the men and women in Iran, and you, the men and women of the United States of America. God bless you.